Welcome to Tales from the Drive-In. Grab some popcorn and tune in as we discuss the wondrous curiosities of the world on and off the screen. I'm your host, BJ Segura. I'm a filmmaker, paranormal enthusiast, and horror fanatic. Joining me today are the owners of Weld County Paranormal to talk about their ghost tours, horror, and everything Halloween. So get ready for a spooky good time. We're at the downtown Oddity Parlor here in Greeley, Colorado. I'm with Weld County Paranormal. So these lovely ladies took me on a tour. I think it was about 2, 3 weeks ago now. And yeah, it was amazing. I had a really good time. My brother had a really good time. A lot of things that we didn't know about Greeley. Oddly enough, I'm from here, but I didn't know all the craziness that has gone down in this part of town for sure. I mean, obviously, there's recency with horrible things, but like past stuff, right? And you guys obviously did your homework, and there was so much that you guys got into that I was really happy to hear about. So, how do you guys know each other?
Well, so we started off by we joined the ghost tours last year with our previous owner, and then after meeting our previous owner, we all decided, well, we're all a bit of a bitch, but we're also really fun. So let's be friends. And then we've become a coven, and ever since then, we've been the best of friends and made a pretty damn good business.
Cool.
Got anything to add?
Well, how did you guys meet?
So the old owner, these two had been on separate tours, and she asked if they wanted to be partners. And then I had a friend who had been on the same tour that Jen was on, and my friend didn't want to be a partner for the business, so she called me and said, "Hey, I think this you might interest you." So that's how we all met. Was just we went to this meeting to see if we wanted to do ghost tours.
Nice. And this awesome place, how did you guys come to the parlor here?
That was the ghost tours as well. Like, this is where the original owner had started them. And then, like, we were here every Friday, even Thursdays and Saturdays doing tours last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is the coolest thing that you've seen in this place, if like individually?
So what's on my mind right now is the petrified cat that was here. I'm not sure if he's still here, but it was like a mummified cat, basically. One of many things that have really caught my eye in this place, but you don't often see that.
No, no, not really.
And the haunted dolls are a plus. They sell out quickly, though, it seems.
So haunted dolls, how do we know that? Are there a few things that are haunted in this building, like dolls and other things? What can you get into that a little bit?
Well, we do know there are a couple of different spirits here. We talk a lot about them on our tour, so we won't go into too much detail, but Charlie is one of our spirits here, and we have messed with him well, not messed with him. He's messed with us by playing a music box upstairs that was left for an investigation, and it would go on and off even though nobody was allowed up there, and it messed with the store owners so bad. They were like, "Hey, please take it out," and then they did. And Charlie's just been a little mischievous friend ever since.
There is also the Greeley Witch. If anybody listening is from Greeley, perhaps you met her. Her name was Jessica Jacobs, and she unfortunately just passed away a few years ago, but we all very much think she is still here. Everything from things, well, I was wearing a ring one time, and my ring just like exploded off my finger right as I was talking about her, so I thought maybe that was her. But in general, she communicates with us through psychic mediums and has told the mediums, "Hey, I'm helping the women of the building." And to me, that rings true because there are so many women-operated businesses here that are very successful. So I think Jessica Jacobs is for sure here.
And could you guys introduce yourselves and maybe tell me a couple things how you got into the paranormal in general?
I'll start. My name is Jen, and ever since I was a child, I was totally down with the spooky stuff. I would love when my parents would go to bed and I'd have the house to myself and I would just watch Scooby Doo for hours. I would read the scary Berenstein Bears book. I always gravitated towards the creepy stuff that other kids were not so into. And just my whole life, I have not necessarily had tons of paranormal encounters, but just this great fascination, and it seems to keep finding me with opportunities such as the ghost tour. So I definitely feel like it's a calling for me.
Nice.
You also had the crazy demonic toy movie that you just found the name out about.
Oh, yeah. I was like 6 years old watching a demonic toy movie, and maybe that's where all the problems started.
Do you remember the name of it?
Well, it's funny that you ask because for years I couldn't remember the name of this scary movie my mom would have on in the living room. Not that she was doing anything wrong, but I think it was just, this scary movie that just happened to be on TV, and I would look at it and it would freak me out. And I never knew the name. I thought I was going crazy. And just the other day I was telling Naomi here, she is like a research extraordinaire. She can figure anything out if she doesn't already know it. She was able to pinpoint the specific film from my childhood, like 28 years ago, and it was called Demonic Toys. Was the name of the show, or the movie. I never would have found that on my own. So thanks, Naomi.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm Naomi. Paranormal has been a big part of my life. I think my first experience was I used to drive or ride a bus. I lived almost an hour away from my school in the middle of nowhere, and these kids would tell us scary stories about this house on a hill and how a man lived there that would change into a wolf, and other scary stories you hear about the prairie, and that really got me interested in those type of things. But on the flip side, I couldn't watch the X-Files because it was too scary for me. So I loved scary stories, but I hated the X-Files, and that just kind of came with me. I didn't really get into paranormal work until I started doing ghost tours, but I worked in haunted houses with my husband and friends and stuff. So
Nice.
did a lot of stuff on that side too.
So my name is Alice. I'm the transplant. I'm from Florida, so I've got not as much Greeley experience or Colorado experience, but I do have a lot of Florida paranormal experience, such as the fort. That was one of my youngest experiences. I was in the St. Augustine fort, and I snuck into an area I wasn't supposed to be in. Later found out that is where they burned the bodies of soldiers that had died, and while I was in there, I had gotten scratch marks on my back and heard voices. So that's initially what made me feel like, oh, okay, this thing exists, and then I just kept on going from there. My first my first horror movie was House of a Thousand Corpses, so I'm a little bit of an addict on all different levels, even horror games.
You would think something like that would scare you away, maybe, right?
So
For some people.
Well, yeah, maybe, but for my family, we grew up Baptist, so even though they said it wasn't real, I was like, well, I can also see great grandma in the corner over there, so which one of us is right? I'm either crazy and you got to put me in a hospital, or she's there.
Nice. So you said you're new to Colorado. So Red Rocks, right, is famous here in Colorado. I was actually there last night, taking a client to one of the shows that was going on. And there's a story there about a hatchet lady. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. But yeah, she apparently walks around, scares people off with a hatchet if they're doing bad things and, having sex and all that kind of stuff. So and it's all near the trading post, and it's in a very old building there. And when I go there, while the concert's going on, I'm just killing time. And so I go in there, and because there's a bathroom there and everything, and there's usually never anybody there. So I always get kind of creepy, weird vibes while I'm in there. But I haven't seen anything yet, but that's the hope. There's that. There's supposed to be an old miner as well that's kind of just walking around Red Rocks. But yeah, I'm hoping to find more of that kind of stuff. What places are you guys looking forward to checking out if you haven't already, or places that you have already that you really like?
So I know for a fact Centennial Village. I want to go to Centennial Village more than any belief in history. Rattlesnake Kate's house, gotta see her. Absolute queen. Everyone else there, the courthouse, it's gotta have history. There were so many things that happened there, especially during that time frame when there were so many disgusting parts of history going on. There's gotta be energy connected to it. And we've heard that from museum workers, so now we gotta go investigate it.
I guess the state armory is one that I want to do a lot. There was like a tragic bus crash that happened in Weld County, and 21 children lost their lives. And because the mortuary couldn't take them all, they were actually put in the basement of the state armory during that. And then also after that happened, there was the first plane bombing that happened over Weld County, and they took all 18 people who died from that and put them in the basement of the state armory. So it has a lot of energy in it, and we really want to get in there to check it out. Even the outside gives, like, sets our EMF stuff off, and it's very cool. Do you have a place? Okay.
Well, what place do you like to go to on your own tour? Is there a specific place that really has activity that maybe even gives you that weird feeling that's like, ooh?
Naomi's right. So the parking lot of the former site of the Chief Theater in Greeley. It was one of the most successful theaters of the time. That's my new favorite spot to go to on the tour. That and the Coronado Building, which is where the downtown Oddity Parlor is. Those are my two favorite tour spots. But the reason I like the Chief Theater so much, the former, now it's just a parking lot, but it is right by the armory for one. But there's the spirit of the woman in white, and she's one of the most well-known ghosts of Greeley. And two different psychic mediums have confirmed that energy out there. And we don't want to give too much away. Come on our tour and we'll tell you more about her. But it definitely seems to be an area of activity. And sometimes even us and our tour guests feel nauseous, feel dizzy out there. Some things that our bodies sort of respond to. And it's just a really cool, creepy spot.
That lady that almost got pushed over.
Oh, yeah, we had a customer one time that was actually stumbling over. She was getting pushed out there.
She was getting pushed?
Yeah, I have it actually on tape.
Oh, nice. That's great. Or scary. Or
Yeah, it was definitely weird. Like, she was really freaked out and kept telling us, and so I was like, if you want to leave, we'll leave, but I'm going to start recording just to kind of see what's going on. And you could just see, like, she starts getting pushed over. And then as soon as we left, she started feeling better. And so then she's like, I'm going to walk back to go see my family. And as soon as she went in there, she started getting pushed again. And it was really weird. And
when did this happen?
last year during October, actually. It was during our trick or drinks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So paranormal experiences, you guys have all had them, it sounds like. When was your first?
For me, it was probably when I was 5 or 6 at St. Augustine.
Yeah. So as a 6-year-old, like, obviously you searched it out even more. But were you scared at all during that time? Was it kind of like, or were you just more excited about the unknown?
Honestly, a mix of both, because both is always good. I was really scared at first because, like, it was probably an animal, but there was no animal. I would have heard, like, a growl or a rat, like anything, and nothing. And then to come out with specifically, like, it looked like hand marks, that's just creepy. But it didn't scare me as much as it should have because I was already into horror movies. So I was like, man, this is just like one of my movies. I'm going to be a main character. I'm going to be a final girl at 6. This is awesome.
That would be amazing.
It's a goal in life of mine.
Yeah,
I'd love to be a
you
final
can still
girl.
do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Someday.
I don't know what my first was, honestly. My most memorable is we have the guy who was lynched in Greeley, the only one. We went to his gravesite. One of our other owners who lives in Grand Junction, her and I went to see if we could make contact. And I think that was the creepiest one because he was like leading us on a scavenger hunt via the voice boxes and the EVPs that we were getting. And it was just kind of think it was the moment I was like, okay, there's more to this than just like the EMF detector, something beeping. There was more, because he was like leading us to other graves that we had never been to, that we didn't even know existed, and helped us research more. So it was kind of interesting, and I think that was like my biggest one, but I really don't remember my first.
What is your did you have a
Sure, why not? So, as a child, I really don't remember a single paranormal experience ever. It wasn't until my teens that I started experiencing things. And it was actually at my bestie's house. We were 18, and her mom had a house in Thornton, Colorado. And I actually didn't know the house was haunted. And I was sleeping downstairs in the basement one night and heard the distinct sound of like fingers against carpet, kind of that raking sound, like kind of that thing, that distinct sound. And then it stopped. And I just waited there. I thought it was an animal, just like Alice said. And then it started really rapidly, and I freaked out. But you convince yourself it wasn't anything scary. And I went to bed, woke up the next day, told them about the experience. They're like, "Oh yeah, we didn't mention to you that this place is haunted." So I kind of discovered on my own that it was haunted.
what is it about places and people not like letting you know? I feel like I hear that all the time. It's like, oh yeah, like don't sleep in there. Like even though we set your bed for you in there, like like I feel like that happens a lot on all the ghost shows and stuff. It's like, oh well, thanks for that. Just I guess it's kind of almost like a double blind experiment, right? They're like to see if you feel anything without knowing going in if it's haunted or not.
I think that's what it is. For one, people probably just don't want to scare you, but I was actually grateful they didn't tell me it was haunted, because I had that experience all on my own, just going in completely unaware. So maybe it's kind of validation for them to not tell people and just see if anybody has
Right.
experiences. And in that particular house, actually, I kept having experiences. Fingernails being kind of dragged down against the wood in the middle of the night, just stuff like that. And even to this day, I still sometimes have things happen around me a little bit. But that house was probably the most haunted place I've ever been.
Nice.
I definitely think like the reason I don't tell people is because I like the validation, but I also don't like when people I like when people don't tell me, because I don't have like a preconceived idea of what I'm going to confront. So when someone's like, "Oh, I think like there's somebody in this room," then I'm looking for it, and I'm not experiencing what they're actually experiencing because they don't know or not. So I like not knowing, and so that's another reason I don't tell people too. Is like, if I don't like knowing, I don't want you to know, because I want to validate me, but I
Right.
also want to validate you.
I did have one experience. It was a few years ago, but it was in the Wash Park area. One of my friends, they were having a party over there, and I had never been to this house, right? But first thing I walk in, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, hey, where's your restroom? And they're like, oh, I'll just go up the stairs. And immediately I had this weird feeling like this like little boy was just standing at the top of the stairs staring at me. I don't know why I didn't see a little boy, but it's just the vibe. And so I went up, went to the bathroom, came back down, and I I talked to the people. I'm like, "Is this place haunted?" They're like, "Absolutely." Like I had never been there before, and they're like, "Yeah," but they what they told me is that it's not like an evil presence or anything like that. So it was just one of those. I don't know if a happy ghost, but like a content. They got along with the people that lived there, and the people that lived there were really super cool people anyway. So it was they vibed together, and it wasn't like a scary thing. It was more of a like, oh, there's Peter, or little Timmy or whoever it was, moving stuff around again. So what is the most surprising part of this journey so far for you guys?
Well, for me, there's two things that have been very surprising, and one of those is how incredibly dark and twisted Greeley history is. We're learning more every day. So anybody listening to this from Greeley, come on our ghost tour for one, but just learn about your town and your mind will be pretty blown. This is, in my opinion, a very special town. Really obscure, scary, tragic things have happened. It's pretty powerful stuff, and it's just surprising to learn that all that's happened on these streets. The other thing that's been surprising to me, though, is just the general public interest in ghost tours. I like to go around to local businesses, drop off flyers and business cards, chat with the owners, and vast majority of the time, those people and anybody nearby are so interested in a positive way in the ghost tour and just haunted history in general. And I think that's cool to see. Like, most people are totally fascinated, just like us.
Nice.
For me, what was really surprising was just how open a small town like this is to this kind of stuff. Being from Florida, I didn't expect such an open climate like this. I was always told small towns, they're going to not like that kind of stuff. They're going to tell you to get off the map. And then all of a sudden, we're selling out. And we're having people call us to book on days that we don't have normal tours on. And it is insane to have our small business go from 1 tour a week to 2 tours a week to sometimes 3 tours a week. And it's really exciting to see for a place like Greeley, especially in Colorado where there's Denver and Estes Park and Loveland and all these places. And they're choosing Greeley on our little ghost tour. And that feels amazing.
I would say about that, that's actually how I met you guys, was at Monster Day, right? Alice, that's how I met you, dressed as Wednesday Addams. That was amazing costume, by the way.
Yeah.
And you're always dressed really awesome,
Thank
by
you.
the way. But yeah, and your dance moves, really good, by the way. You should have won. Yeah.
Well,
I agree.
I won for the adult category. The kids deserve to have their moment. I still won in the adult category, and I will take that.
Just because they're cute doesn't mean they're good dancers. I'm just saying, like,
I 100% agree with that.
'cause that's kind of how it was, right? I was like, oh, she's the cutest. Let's give it to her. Like, all right, I guess.
It was worth it. To see their smiles, it was worth it. I'll take the L. Well, it's still a W for me.
Yeah, and they all, I mean, there was a lot of them. There was a lot of you guys doing it. So it was cool. It was a good, and that's, to your point, that's why this town is so great, is because Monster Day is a very unique thing to Greeley, specifically because of places like Distortions, right? Distortions, they make all the different kinds of Halloween animatronics and just all of the things. Like, they are famous for the Alice Cooper's Frankenstein. Like, they built that for his tour, and just all the other things that they've done. And they're in the community. And what's great is that it's not just them, but it's all the other, like you guys, and all the other. There's all the other haunted mazes and stuff that are all here, and the community comes out for it. It was a big turnout, and I was surprised. This was my first year going to it, and I was surprised at how many people showed up and dressed up. Like, it was so cool.
Yeah, talking about community, like, we were on the side of, like, with HearstCon and stuff. We went down there and we were in Denver doing a convention with HearstCon, and we had people who were from out of state who knew about us, and that was surprising to us. Like, how does, like, people from Missouri or Kansas already know about our business that just opened in May? And they were like, yeah, we're coming on your tour, and they did a couple weeks later, and, like, that's a really surprising thing. And the way the community, like, it's not just in Greeley, like, it goes. So, like, the Hearst Club was here for Monster Day, and then our name spreads with them as they go to their conventions and stuff. And it's just really cool, like, how it all comes together, and Monster Day is mostly at the center of it.
Did you guys meet some other people at Monster Day? Some other groups?
The Rockabilly Vixens, they definitely they sought us out, again based off of Alice's costume. Other than that, we just met a lot of people. Like, there wasn't a lot of groups that we met. We had a booth that had, free games for kids, so we were meeting mostly parents.
That's cool. I want to get into, because this is also a horror podcast. Yeah. Let's talk a little horror. So, yeah, do you guys have a favorite horror movie you like to watch around the spooky season?
Okay, so I'm calling this one because I'm literally, number 1, Saw is the best franchise. Number 2, you should all go see Saw 10 if you haven't. Okay, so I'm about to go commit a trap. Saw is my personal favorite for October. Otherwise, you're always going to have to go with the classic House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. I know people get upset with it, but it's good and you know it.
It's good. Yeah, I agree.
For me, it is irrevocably always going to be the 1978 John Carpenter Halloween. Like, that's my go-to. I'm sorry, but like that intro, that theme song, to me, nothing can come close to the way that makes me feel. So that's my go-to. But I'm really just getting into horror in general. I'm like really delving into the genre, and it's amazing. But there's something about that one movie. That's mine.
The newest one in that series was great, by the way, if you haven't seen it.
Halloween Ends?
Yeah.
I never saw Halloween Ends.
It's-
I love
I
Jamie
haven't
Lee
seen it
Curtis,
yet.
by the way. She is amazing.
She is a scream queen.
She is.
Mine's not really movies. I mean, I like, it's called Fear with Reese Witherspoon and Mark Wahlberg.
Oh yeah.
I love that movie, and I watch that like constantly during the year. So it's not my Halloween, but every Halloween, I watch Scream Queens. I know that sounds really funny, but that series is definitely one of my top rewatches during the season. And I've really gotten into the new Chucky as well.
Nice. Is Fear? Is that the one where he's like a teenager and he like frames them to, like he like beats himself?
Yeah,
in that
that
film?
one, and then he cuts the dog's head off and
Oh,
shoves it through the dog door.
terrible. Yeah, like he is awful in that movie.
He
like,
is awful in that movie, and I remember watching that at like 8 years old in the middle of the night, and it's still my favorite movie.
That's great.
I love that movie.
I would, yeah. I saw that maybe like 5 years ago for the first time. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is
Yeah.
crazy.
It is a crazy one.
But back to what you were saying, like John Carpenter is definitely one of my favorite directors, movie creators of all time. Like all of his stuff, like he does his own music, right? The scores and everything. My big thing with him is like The Thing, is also a very good movie of his. That one, yeah, it's still like just images in your head. You just think of that. You think of the music. You think of just the funny, weird scenes that are in that movie. Just the suspense in it, I think, is what people love about it, because you don't know. Like if people haven't seen it, like there's this alien, right, that takes the form of whatever it wants to, right, and it could be one of the people that they're working with, and so just figuring all that out is a fun one. For me, I'd have to go. Well, I'm wearing the shirt. It's so they're only noodles, Michael, from the Lost Boys. On my podcast, I've mentioned that before. The Lost Boys is definitely a favorite of mine. I actually went to the Lyric in Fort Collins, and they had the Lost Boys playing outside at the outdoor theater, and they had the saxophone player from that movie playing. So he played. Yeah, he played the like a few songs before, like his own concert. No, actually he played it after the movie. And then yeah, it was
When was this?
this was just a little while ago, like maybe a month or two ago.
So it must have been right after HearstCon, because during HearstCon he was at a stage like not even 20 feet from our booth playing, and he was on stage. He was bringing women up there. Like we met him. That's why I laughed, because I was like, so he was up here at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he was making the rounds, right?
Yeah.
Like, cause the one at the Lyric was kind of a last minute thing. Cause I talked to some of the people that worked there. Like, yeah, like we just got in touch with him, and he was down for it. And that dude is older, but he has got so much energy.
Yes, he does.
I was like,
100%. You remember the
Yeah.
videos? You saw them? We sent them to you because you weren't
I
there.
saw them. I missed them too.
but yeah, that dude, he's probably in his late 60s, and he was up at like 2-3 in the morning still signing like autographs and like all of it. It was crazy. But if you haven't seen The Lost Boys, do yourself a favor, watch that movie every year. It's Jen.
Jen.
Sorry, I
not
don't
seen
want to call you out, but you got to watch it. That's one.
I'm gonna
Call her out. Call her out.
If
call me out.
Do
I
you
can
like
take it.
vampire movies though?
Yes.
Okay, this is probably top 3 on most people's lists of vampire movies, I would
I
say.
am excited.
It's my husband's second favorite.
What's his first?
His first vampire,
Oh, for
Twilight.
Vampire- No, yeah, totally Twilight.
The franchise that shall not be mentioned. Sorry.
Facts.
Is it? Oh my god, I can't. It's a whole.
Bram
like-
Stoker's Dracula.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I was gonna say that one should be up there too.
Yeah.
What other franchises are you guys into? Are there any other or specific? My second favorite vampire movie would probably be Fright Night. If you haven't seen that one, that's also a really good one. The first one. I mean, obviously the remake's pretty good too, but nothing kind of beats the original, right?
The Dead Snow movies.
Dead Snow. Okay.
Zombie in the
Yep.
middle of the winter. Those are
Is that
great.
are they like Nazi zombies?
Yeah, the first one's
Yep.
Nazi zombies, and I can't remember what the second ones are, but they're also soldiers as well, but different soldiers. I think
Is it-
Vietnam.
Is it scarier that they're soldiers zombies, or does it matter? Like, is that?
I don't know. I
'cause-
think it kind of gave like the tactical side to like the zombie idea. Like their brain still held how to be the warrior that they were, so it made it a little scarier,
Yeah.
at least in my head.
So I feel like I've been left out of some critical need to know information.
Uh-oh.
Tremors, obviously, incredible movie franchise. Burt Gummer will always be my husband. Good in every movie.
So Tremors, I love that movie. I love that whole franchise too. Obviously Kevin Bacon, right? Like it was Reba McEntire. She that was one of her first like feature films, right? I actually got to drive her around one time when she came to Denver. Exactly what you would think. Super nice lady. She had personality, loves to talk to anybody, that kind of thing. But the thing was, one of the things I asked her, because she was like the first famous person that I ever drove around, and I was just like, hi, words, hi, like it was awkward, but she was cool, and so I asked her, what did you like more, TV or movies, or working in those, and she said TV, because I mean it makes a lot of sense, because you go to one place, it's always the same. You have, you don't have to go on these crazy sets in a weird location for however many hours and days and whatever. And so I wish I would have asked her about Tremors, but I didn't get a chance to ask her, because I don't know. There's so many things going through your head that when you have this, because it was like a 30-minute drive, and I'm like, well, what can I ask her in 30 minutes, right? And I found out like the day before that I was driving her, so I was like, oh my God, where do I even start, without bombarding her with information and being like, too much.
That's how I felt when I met Robert Englund. Like
Oh.
tongue-tied, and then you can't like I had a list of questions and they all were gone out of my head. It was just like, yeah. How did it feel to, yeah.
Take care, Freddie. Yep.
Yeah, I get it. It's just like you get tongue-tied and then you're just like, oh, I should have asked about that later. And it's hard.
I have heard about Robert Englund that he is not shy to talk.
No.
Like I hear he talks and talks and talks.
Yes.
One of my friends who's on another podcast, she does that. She goes to the cons, and she's one of the handlers, so that's her job, is to kind of take them around and do all that stuff. And she's had quite a few conversations with him, and yeah, it's the same thing. He'll tell you every story he has, which is great, and because they're all great. Which is what's also great is that the Nightmare on Elm Street is playing right now in the parlor. Obviously it's silent, but like those movies, that is a franchise that I can watch over and over. Usually just the first and third movie, and that's usually what I'll return to.
That was the first horror movie series that my husband and I watched together after we started dating, because
Nice.
they were his favorite. So he's like, we're gonna watch these in October, and I was like, okay. I'd never seen them, so I watched them all with him, all of them.
And they're I mean, some of them are kind of bad, right? You're just
Yeah,
like,
they are.
You're like, really, this is where the story went? Like,
Yeah.
ugh. We just have to talk about it because we were already talking about it before, but your shirt is amazing.
Thank you.
So what is it again on there?
So on this shirt, it is skulls, coffee, donuts, and eyeballs. And this is from Sturgis, South Dakota. But the brand is a company called Picnic with a Y, Pyknic. But just something about donuts, coffee, and skeletons, that's the perfect combo, if you ask me.
So do you guys, obviously, you guys have tattoos. What other clothing, apparel stuff do you guys like to wear during spooky season? Is there anything that you're wearing like all the time? Like this is a Jason-inspired flannel from Dixon, and it's pretty fun. What else do you guys? Obviously, we have Alice over here.
I'm just gonna pass the mic.
Yeah, I am unfortunately the fashionista of the group a bit too much. I'm always, if it's Halloween, I'm in a costume of some sort. My most favorite one is I have this awesome 1920s inspired dress that's red and black. It's gorgeous. I'll probably wear it for trick or drink this year. Um, Other than that, I have a lot of horror inspired dresses. I'm currently actually looking to make my own pattern for a Chucky dress and sew that and hopefully have it ready before October. Well, not October. No, before Halloween if I'm lucky, but that would be so cool if I can.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, the brand Creepy Company, which they sell here in the downtown Oddity Parlor, and they have so much cool stuff on their website.
Nice.
I just wear witch inspired stuff. Mine's not Halloween. Like I have moons and that's not Halloween. Nightmare Before Christmas is not Halloween, and I will die on that hill. That is Christmas.
It can't be both.
No.
It's a good coping movie after Halloween is done.
Yes.
Okay, I can agree with that for sure. It's funny that you mentioned the witching thing. So one of my jobs, I teach driver's ed, and so I taught this kid. He's older. He was actually 20, and his family. I drove to their house, and when they opened the door, well, there's like Salem stuff on the front, and you know, all decorated. And then on the inside, there's just witch stuff everywhere. I was like, oh yeah, you guys are. This is amazing. Like I loved it. It was great. And then I was like, oh, are you guys getting ready for Halloween? They're like, no, this is like we're pagan. This is an everyday kind of deal. And I was like, oh my god, like I'm sorry, like, you know, I apologize because like, sorry, I didn't mean to assume that this was that, but it was still amazing. Like they were super cool people, and that's one thing that I've noticed is that all the horror community in general are just super cool people, right? Horror, whether it be like the pagan, you know, all the people that are into the curiosities of the world, you know, I find that they are just chill. They're not super uptight usually, and if they are, right, just watch a few more horror movies.
Yeah, our house is decorated as people say for Halloween all year long. I have altars, and then we just have gargoyles and moons and everything everywhere because of like my beliefs and my husband's, and so it's very what we get told is spooky.
Do you have a favorite piece that's in your home?
My dad for my wedding, he made a shelf that was Nightmare Before Christmas inspired. It looked like the hill, and he made it for our cupcake display, and I used that to display all my crystals. So like that's my favorite piece because it's not only something my dad made me, but also it fits like themes in my house, and it had a thing for me and my husband. So
It's awesome. What about you, Jen?
your dolls.
Oh, my dolls. Yeah.
You have what kind of dolls do you have?
Oh, my
Jen?
favorite thing to do is go to either here or the Oddity Parlor and or the thrift store and just find dolls, but not just any doll. They have to have that like element that sticks out to me. I love using them for decor. My family really doesn't enjoy it as much, but I think dolls are so beautiful and spooky, but I'm not into them in like that collector's way, like this one was made with such finesse. And no, I just like the creepy vintage aspect of them. They're awesome to like put with plants around the house and candles. It's a whole vibe.
We're gonna make a tea party.
That's
for
awesome.
Halloween this year.
Oh yes, and for Halloween we want to I want to get the girls and maybe make a creepy doll tea party out in the yard.
That is
thrift store
amazing.
here
You
we
have
come.
to take pictures and post it
They
because
will be.
yeah, I that reminds me of, I think it was a meme I saw where this front yard was just a line of baby dolls with
the body.
with the carrying dead
We
bodies.
put that on our Facebook.
Did oh yeah, amazing, amazing. So I don't know if you have that many, or
She
do
does.
do you really?
Yeah, I probably have about I gotta count them. I probably have 12 to 15 or 12 to 20 dolls.
Okay.
I can't
You
remember.
had 12, and I've given you 6 now.
And I've bought many here. We could be above 20. I'm actually they're getting ready to emerge as Halloween decor. I pulled out the boxes today.
I was
And I'm
gonna.
very
It
excited.
sounded like they were like coming out of the ground.
Out of the
or
ground,
something.
they're gonna emerge at dawn. Well, tonight is the full moon. I've
That is
summoned
the-
them.
Yeah.
So they'll just be in a line walking into the house.
So 20 dolls can hold what, like 4 bodies? How many bodies can 20 dolls carry?
Well, the bodies we used to make for haunted houses, you could use 4. That would all you would need. So she'd be able to have 5 bodies.
And what would you? I mean, obviously they're wrapped in like trash bags and stuff. Like, what would you use for like a body?
I know this sounds really weird, but in the haunted house we use blow up dolls.
Okay.
Because they're cheap and they're so easy to wrap up. And like people would find out that's what's in there and they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, because they're cheap.
And they're light.
Yes.
That's smart.
Yeah. So blow up dolls are great.
Nice.
As for horror stuff in my house, I have a pretty big section of my house dedicated to it. Pretty much whole half of it. I don't count it as horror, but I've had a lot of people tell me it's horror. The whole front of my living room is Jurassic Park themed, and I do mean everything.
That's amazing.
couches.
Yeah, like everything.
So quick side, one of my good friends, she did a Jurassic Park themed wedding. Her wedding was Jurassic.
That's what I want.
She was that into it. She's
That's what
still
I
into
want.
it. But yeah.
That's what I want in life. That's what I want.
So that's you're like, when you go on your next date, just be like, hey, like if we're gonna get married, it's gotta be a Velociraptor, be our ring bearer.
Oh, I actually just got a tattoo of a Dilophosaurus, and I was so drunk I kept calling it a Velocisaurus.
Oh, that's hilarious. And that's awesome looking. That is.
Oh yeah, no, it is a cute little baby. I plan to get the full gates with I have a whole like plan for it. It's gonna be either a half sleeve or a full sleeve, and I can't do a full sleeve anymore, but definitely a half sleeve if I can ever afford it.
So is that your favorite dinosaur then?
Dilophosaurus is my favorite dinosaur, but for a close second, and this is gonna sound really fucking basic, but Triceratops, and I'm proud.
No, that's awesome.
they're adorable.
Exactly, but everyone judges me because they're not killers, and I'm like, well, I don't want an Indominus Rex. I want a cutie.
Didn't I hear? I don't know if this is right. Call me out if I'm wrong, but that is not a real dinosaur.
It's debated. So there have been fossils found, but they can be confused for other small reptiles. So it's a huge controversial debate within the paleo community. I personally believe that they were, because they're cute little buddies. They probably definitely didn't have that coloration, and they were probably much different. Yeah, they were probably much different in terms of feathers and style than what they're shown.
So you would catch some shit if you go to an event with other paleo people, and they'd be like, "Hey, we don't do that here."
So I'm a big person on Jurassic Park online, unfortunately. And let's just put it this way, as a fan of both accurate paleontology description and a fan of Jurassic Park, I get a lot of shit from both communities, because it's either you get pretty feathered dinosaur that's accurate to science, or I want man killer that will kill everything and God. And either way, you lose, because even if you want science, somebody's going to hate you because it's not a killer. And if you want a killer, they're going to hate you because it's not science. I mean, they did better with Dominion, though. I love the fact that they did better with their depictions in Dominion. I will say, locusts were a terrible choice, and none of us wanted to see giant bugs. You did great with everything else, though.
I love that one.
I'm proud of myself for that.
That's
and
good.
y'all can judge.
I do love that you have an entire section debate it's just all Jurassic Park. Like, I don't have a section specific for that. Mine is definitely like random horror stuff. So obviously on the podcast, I have my friend Norman, which is it's a snail with a skull as his with a skull as his shell, and that thing is beautiful. I love it because it's psychedelic. So it's a green snail with a purple skull head, and I got that from a guy. I forget his. It's Jack of the Dust is what it's called, and it's he's from Australia, and he does all the things. I mean, they're pricey, but like they're big. Like this guy's like the skull's like it's like a human skull. It's that big. But yeah, they have all the things. Like I want to get an alien one. They have an alien head one, a predator, all the different things. So, but that and then just random odds and ends. A lot of art, like posters and stuff from different movies, and not just the art from the movies, but specifically like artists' interpretations. I love that. So
Yeah, we have a horror hallway, like you were talking about that. Like our spare room is Marvel, like our living room is where all the pagan stuff is, so like the main place that everyone is. But we tried to theme every room in our house to something.
nice.
And I love we got like I talked earlier about meeting Robert Englund, and we got him to sign a poster, and it says my husband's name, you'll be next, and he like drew his hand coming out of the poster, and so it's really cool, and it's like the centerpiece of our hallway. But we have a lot of handmade stuff in there from horror movies because it's a lot more fun than Funko Pops. I love
Yeah.
Funko Pops, but I like the handmade stuff like you're talking about, like the snail and things like that. We have a lot of Rob Zombie stuff in our horror hallway too.
Yeah, and this place too. This place is amazing. It
Oh,
has
yeah.
all of the things that you would talk about. Like my friends Brett and Christy over here that are off screen, they definitely have a lot of this kind of stuff in their home. Really cool themed. A lot of skulls with, like beautiful things around them, right? Like that's a big thing. Taxidermy is really cool as well. The doll heads, all of that kind of stuff. And there is in this place, there's obviously there's movie memorabilia, and there's ghost things, and yeah, if you guys haven't come here, please come check it out. It's an amazing place. So I do have one more question about horror stuff. So if you could spend a day, is this the question? If you could spend a day in the world of any horror film, what would it be and why?
All right, so I've always had this dream. It's always been a thing. I wanted to do it ever since I saw the movie. And yeah, I'm sick and twisted for it. Fuck it. I fucking love the reverse bear trap. I would give nothing more. And I know that sounds absolutely insane, but I would give nothing more to experience that or to be in a game. And I know that sounds weird, but I would love to. And I know, yeah, I know. I'm crazy. I'm crazy. I'm crazy.
This is why we love her.
But I would love to, I just want to see Jigsaw's perspective.
So you
as
want
a
to be,
player.
you want to have a bag of popcorn in.
Well, no, I want to
she
be
wants to
in
be a
it.
player.
Yeah, I want to be in there,
She
which
wants to
one
be
of
the one
you
with her
Jigsaw
leg
is a
chained up.
competent? Well, no, I want to find out, okay, so you seem suspicious. You might be his accomplice. You've played other games. You're not badly hurt. You don't look like you're going to get hurt. I'm going to get hurt, though. So which way are we going to get hurt? When is my trap? I want to play that psychological game because as somebody who studied every one of those fucking movies,
I still think you should watch Cube.
I will someday, but in the meantime, actually, I did watch the kill count for that on Dead Meat. That was
You
fantastic.
still need to watch the movie.
I know, and I will, but it was a good kill count. But yeah, that's definitely my horror favorite. What I want to do.
Okay, makes sense.
Mine's Shaun of the Dead. I know that sounds so weird, but I love the whole movie, and I would just love to be a part of it. Go pick up Liz. Everything.
Go to the pub.
Yes.
You would want to be in a drinking movie.
The Winchester.
Yeah, there we go.
Wait
Yeah,
till it all
no.
blows over.
I love that movie. That one and Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It's a tie between which one I would rather be in.
Now, would you want to be a specific character from that film, or would you from Shaun of the Dead, or would you just be somebody?
I just want to be a friend of the group, so I would be my own person, but I would be a friend of the group.
But you'd have to have a doppelganger to cross as you guys see
Yeah.
the other group, right?
Yep.
I love that part. It's
I
like,
love that.
yeah,
It's so good.
that would be fun.
Do you have one?
Oh man, my answer might be a little bit of a pansy answer because I I actually wouldn't want to be in any movies or in any of those settings, especially Saw. I mean, that's like the last thing I would ever want to do. But I have two answers. So again, the 1978 Halloween, before there is the technology, the phones, the help, all that kind of stuff, to be in a creepy setting where you have to like rely on your own wit and resources and running to the neighbors, whatever you have to do. I just find that concept fascinating, where now we could just open up the phone and real quick call 911. Imagine being in one of those older horror movies, any of those ones from the 80s where you just don't have the capability to get help. That's a creepy thought. But actually, not a movie, but American Horror Story.
Yes. there you
Season
go.
3 Coven or season 4 Freak Show. I would want to be in those worlds. Amen. Especially Coven, because I just feel that. Like, I want to be in that house. I want to be in New Orleans. I'm so down. But actually, Freak Show, the thought of being in a hot and humid Jupiter, Florida, is that a real place, by
It
the way?
is. I have been through Jupiter and I've been through the real town. So there is a place in Florida where circus people go to retire.
It's real.
And that is a real town in Florida as well. Everyone there is super nice, even though there are a lot of really bad Floridian jokes about it. I've never met a single mean person there. They're always sweet. Floridians are just dicks.
I would want to go there and be a part of the creepy, like in American Horror Story, the whole creepy carnival setting. It's more than creepy. It's like a murderous freak show circus.
What would be your job?
Oh, I haven't thought about that. Let's see here.
You selling popcorn, watching the show? I don't know what it is about me, but when I thought of that question, I think about myself just laughing, eating popcorn in the corner, just being like, "Oh
A
my
spectator.
god, you dumb shit!"
So
Like,
Mystery Science Theater 3000. Basically, you just be
Yes.
the guy and like watching it. Gotcha.
yeah, but be there, right? Just-
Yes.
And there's no danger for me. I'm
Yep.
I'm just like chilling. I'm a spectator, just walking by, be like, "Oh shit! Like this is like, what are you
That
guys
dude's
even
getting
doing?"
his claws chopped off.
Right. So that would be fun for me.
Oh, my job. I can't really think. I certainly wouldn't want to be like a cat or a staff member or anything, or a spectator. I mean, I would just kind of want to walk around the grounds and make sure, like, I don't know, organize and just, I don't know what I would do. I just want to, like,
Manager.
grounds manager. Just make sure everything's in place. Oh, there we go. I'll wear like a striped suit and just help
Ooh,
all
there
the
you go.
pissed off customers. That speaks to me. But I would just want to wander around that world and the humid and the grass, and the tents, and just see what the hell that would be like.
Kind of reminds me of like Big Fish, that kind of world as well. That's a world I would love to go to, even though it's not horror. Just Tim Burton, just that whole, just the magic of it. It makes you feel.
You haven't
so,
seen Big Fish, have you?
No, I've seen the poster for it.
So you will like that one as well.
Jen.
so embarrassing.
So Jen needs to watch movies.
Yes, she does.
That's cool.
So cool. Did you guys have anything else on that question, or you guys feel confident with your answers?
Yeah, we're pretty confident. The only thing I'd add is if we're going to American Horror Story, for me it would be Hotel Cortez. I want to work with Liz Taylor in the bar. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah, that's.
Don't drop the mic.
I was
Well,
like,
obviously.
yeah, please don't do that. So last thing before we wrap up, is there anything you guys would like to tell the people? Is there anything you would like to plug? Any future things to look out for? And also what you guys are doing for Halloween as far as Weld County Paranormal?
Yeah, absolutely. So for Halloween, we have a couple of different events coming up. Currently, I would recommend getting tickets as fast as you can for our cemetery investigations. That's going to be every Thursday in October, as well as the first week of November. We will also be having every Friday trick or drink, but you have to be 21 and up. And I do recommend getting those tickets fast for that one, because that one's almost completely sold out. We have special bookings for tours. Just make sure to book or contact us through our phone or our website. WeldCountyParanormal.com is probably the easiest way.
WCParanormal.com.
Yep, WCParanormal.com. And make sure to check out our home base, the Downtown Oddity Parlor. Corey and Chase, the amazing owners of this shop, have let us work here with them for a minute now. We're so grateful to have their support in this in this type of business, and they have been such an amazing shop to work with. And we spend so much time and money here; it's ridiculous. You should too.
Besides that, Makers Market, that is a business downtown, on Friday the 13th is doing a Halloween crawl. We are providing prizes for their event. The Oddity Parlor will be open during that event, having a special sales, and other businesses will also be open. So that's something that we're a part of. And then Centennial Village is doing the Halloween event on the 21st and 22nd. I think it's that weekend. From 2 to 6, trick-or-treating, storytelling, and we are also doing stuff there. So those are other events that we're not running, that we're just helping with. So can you think of anything else? Okay.
All right. Well, thank you guys for letting me come to this amazing place and interview you guys. You guys are amazing. And yeah, we'll be posting this sometime in the near future. So thank
Sweet.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was so amazing. We're excited.